Anyway, let's get started with this. Bari Weiss says she wants to use her new perch at CBS News to redraw the lines of what falls in the 40 yards of acceptable debate in American and political and cultural life. She says the aim is to sideline voices like Hasan Piker, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and elevate charismatic figures such as Alan Dershowitz and Dana Loesch to reflect where the vast majority of Americans actually are. Now, obviously, I think this is funny for a couple different reasons. One of the reasons why it's funny is because this is Bari Weiss saying the quiet part out loud. And another reason why is obviously because she's referring to Alan Dershowitz as a charismatic figure. Like, she's literally saying, look, whether you disagree with these people, with Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, I certainly disagree with them or not. Whether you disagree with these people or not, like, it's ridiculous to say that people like myself or people like Tucker Carlson don't have massive real audiences as opposed to fucking Alan Dershowitz or Dana Loesch, you know, media animals that media demons that have been propped up, tenured professors and media demons that have no organic platform on their own. So the idea that like the association of me and Nick Fuentes is ridiculous. Okay. The association with me and Nick Fuentes is ridiculous, but it's one that Zionists regularly will present, not realizing that this doesn't actually make me look bad, but it actually normalizes people like Nick Fuentes in the eyes of many people because the position I hold is the majority position on Israel, right? It wasn't the case post-October 7, but it certainly is the case now. All that does is, I think, normalize Nick Fuentes more in the eyes of many Americans, and it's a dangerous position that these dipshits actually advance, even if they don't realize it. And apparently, she did end up uploading a debate between Alan Dershowitz and Dana Loesch on gun control, and that fucking debate got 1,994 views in 10 hours. So obviously, it's definitely not something that the American population or anyone, as a matter of fact, is looking for. But let's take a look at this silly thing, and I'm going to give you the tea afterwards as well, which makes it even funnier that Bari Weiss and CBS News is mentioning my name alongside people who should be deplatformed.
See the moment that we're in. And all of us see that the choices that it feels like we have sometimes, which is Hasan Piker and Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes and, Andrew Tate, the kind of people that are rising in the podcast charts.
I like that she had my name locked and ready to go, the first name that she brought up. And it's really interesting because I leaked some tea after this video was going viral on Twitter. And that tea is that they literally are trying to get me to do a fucking debate on CBS News with a person that happens to be on this panel. Ben fucking Shapiro. That's right. They literally want me to do a CBS News debate with Ben Shapiro. And I said I would do it as long as it was about Israel-Palestine. And they want to do it over capitalism. And I was like, that's boring, So it's so funny that she's like saying this. It's so funny that she's talking shit with Ben Shapiro on that fucking panel. And she's literally on the sidelines trying to set up a debate between me and fucking Ben Shapiro. So what happened? You're like, oh, we need to sideline people like Hasan Piker at CBS News while, in private, she's trying to set up a fucking debate. So what happened? I said, what makes this funnier is that her outlet CBS News is currently trying to set up a debate with me. Yeah. Also, her bestie, Olivia Reingold, wanted to profile you. I know. So which one is it? Am I supposed to be a dangerous extremist voice that needs to be deplatformed, or am I actually a person with a fairly large audience that you want to actually bring over to CBS News, bring eyeballs over to CBS News? Interesting. Yes, but that'll be on the 30-yard line, so it's fine. Just do the debate and pivot to Palestine. I mean, there's no way to like control the fucking debate like that.
Those don't actually represent our values, and I don't think that they represent the values and the worldview of the vast majority of Americans. And so this is an opportunity to speak for the 75%, for the people that are on the center left and the center right that still believe in equality of opportunity, that still believe passionately in the American project, that still believe in all of the things that everyone in this room believes in, which is liberty and freedom and individual responsibility and in the most basic level, the right to know what is actually going on in the world. Not the world as propagandists and ideologues imagine it to be, but what's actually going on in the world and in your community, so you can make decisions about where to send your kids to school, about where to live, and about how to vote. That used to just be normal. And the goal of what we're trying to do at CBS is to get back to that normalcy. And I feel incredibly energized and enthusiastic because I think that is where the vast majority of Americans actually are.
Well, so that articulation of that set of goals to speak into the lives of the 75%, how are you going to do that? What's your strategy for success?
So I think one of the problems is a lot of people have tried to do centrist news. I know this because I am like the target audience for those things. And the reason that they have all failed is it's like trying to force feed spinach down someone's throat, right? It's felt very like tofu, oatmeal. It's like centrist news is choosing the midpoint between every single topic. It's felt like an absence.
I do love her being like 75% of Americans, like, why won't anybody point to what 75% of Americans believe? And it's like, okay, let's ask 75% of Americans how they feel about Israel. You know, who do you think they're closer to on fucking Israel? Person who's sitting as a propagandist for the apartheid state, or guy who says Israel sucks? I wonder what Americans would be tuned into in terms of their opinions on Israel. Me or fucking Bari Weiss? Like, what a stupid fucking argument. And I'm not even talking about the rest of the world. Obviously, the numbers get even worse if you go to the rest of the fucking world. But like, even in America, even in the United States of America, who's closer to the average person's opinion when it comes to America's seemingly endless loyalty to the apartheid state of Israel? And it also doesn't make any sense because she goes, oh, it's broccoli. Centrist news is what 75% of the population demands, but it's also broccoli. It's also spinach. It's also boring. Okay, which one is it? Are people desperate for some centrism and some normalcy and some normal voices in media? Or is it actually boring and you're trying to manufacture consent? Where are we at on this?
People have tried to do centrist news. I know this because I am like the target audience for those things. And the reason that they have all failed is it's like trying to force feed spinach down someone's throat, right? It's felt very like tofu, oatmeal. It's like centrist news is choosing the midpoint between every single topic. It's felt like an absence of charisma and identity. And
yeah, that's why we need to bring in incredibly charismatic sexual dynamo Alan fucking Dershowitz to CBS News. It's like, yeah, I was thinking like, where can you get more Alan Dershowitz? In mainstream media, that's it. Whether it be an article that he will write about how we must lower the age of consent laws, okay, or whether it be going on Fox News on a nightly basis to talk about how the victims of Jeffrey Epstein are liars, right? Alan Dershowitz is on mainstream media all the fucking time. Dana Loesch is a mainstream media figure. She was an NRA spokesperson. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, free speech warrior Bari Weiss discusses her plan for manufacturing consent. The funniest part about this, in my opinion, is that she is so objectively bad at her fucking job that this is a failure, in my opinion. And it's not just a failure. I mean, it's the type of failure you can see, right? The example Bari Weiss gave of the charismatic mainstream debate she believes will revitalize CBS, namely the gun control debate she arranged between Alan Dershowitz and Dana Loesch, has so far been watched by a grand total of 860 people in 5 hours since posting. Perhaps for all of the anger and resentment that you might have towards independent media content creators who are not abiding by whatever norms existed in legacy publishers, norms, i.e. norms, for example, of demonstrating unconditional loyalty to Israel, okay? Whether you like it or not, it is obvious that people on the independent side of things have to actually carve out their own fucking audiences. And in an effort to do so, they have to be more entertaining. They have to be more charismatic than the people who get hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to sit on a fucking CNN panel or to sit on a CBS panel or to sit on a Fox News panel. Okay? This is not an issue that you can solve with money. Jay Caspian Kang says, so basically she's going to cancel everyone she disagrees with and elevate Alan Dershowitz. Also, if you're going to redraw lines to square up more with what 75% of Americans believe, how are you going to cover aid to Israel, which is widely unpopular amongst that 75%? Also, maybe I'm slow, but Hasan Fuentes and Tucker aren't on CBS this morning chopping it up with Nate Burleson. How are you going to cancel them from CBS News and Foreign Free Press? Is Coleman Hughes going to do an impassioned segment on 60 Minutes? It's like PS4 saying to PS5, you're canceled. It's just like, I'm not on CBS News. And not only am I not on CBS News wants me to be on CBS News. So what is this fucking conversation? Like, did they want to have me on CBS News so they could turn around and be like, actually, we never wanted you on there. Okay. So every part about this is so funny. What is this? Come on, man. What? Not prestigious for much longer. Come on, man. It's still one of the OGs of American TV. So was CNN. I don't respect them anymore. It's not about respect. Honestly, just the history. CNN is no way comparable to CBS, though CNN is like a baby age-wise to CBS. No, this chatter is correct. CBS, amongst like the 50-year-old audience and over, still has a lot of prestige. And I think Bari Weiss and the Ellisons are going to utilize that prestige to do like, they're going to utilize that prestige till the very last moment to basically pump out as much pro-Israel content as possible. But that generational divide is already there, right? That generational divide has already existed, and it's not going to make people my age and make people younger than me turn around and be pro-Israel. So they're just using what remains of the institutional legacy. What remains of the institutional legacy as like a prestige premier news network that has a long history of objective reporting as a last ditch effort, I think, to continue pumping grandmas full of even more pro-Israel content, which is again not exactly a unique position in mainstream news anyway. As you're watching this, consider that she likely made this exact pitch to David Ellison, and he said, yes, precisely. Here's $150 million and the top job at CBS News. Yeah, isn't that fucking crazy? CIA was watching your China streams this morning. Falun Gong people were handing out flyers for some weird theater production about how China created COVID. Okay, first of all, that has nothing to do with my streams. That's what the Falun Gong people have been doing. Shen Yun. That's literally what they do regardless. Any boomers watching CBS Googling you will be disappointed in the lack of pit pics, my man. I agree. Yeah, they've been doing that. That has nothing to do with me going to China at all. Let's be real. Anyway, let's finish this.
As nostalgic as people might be for an era in which 30 million Americans every night watch Walter Cronkite and saw him as the voice of truth, and I understand why they're nostalgic for that. We're not going back to that. So how do you build trust in a moment of unbelievably low trust in all of our public institutions, especially the mainstream press? I don't think it's by pretending like we can go back to having a view from nowhere. I think it's about who's in the room, right? I think it's about redrawing the lines of what falls in the 40-yard lines of acceptable debate and acceptable American politics and culture. And I don't mean that in like a censorious gatekeeping way. I mean having people that are...
Okay. You don't mean it in a censorious gatekeeping way. It kind of feels like you mean that in a censorious gatekeeping way. Except the irony is, these guys are no longer the gatekeepers. That is the irony. CBS News no longer has the same level of relevance. And I say this as someone who gets a shit ton of mainstream press coverage. Okay? And in my own personal experience, going on the Theo Von podcast is infinitely better for boosting my profile than any number of different prestigious mainstream legacy newspapers writing profiles on me. Straight up. The Joe Rogan Experience is more of a real gatekeeper now than any number of different news articles. Okay? It's just the truth. And I say this as someone who obviously cares about mainstream press, who cares about good journalism, who defends good journalism all the fucking time. The reality of the matter is, as far as PR pushes go, podcasts in general are infinitely more relevant in boosting people's profile in a real way than the previous gatekeepers are. Nobody gives a shit about going on CBS News. I'm serious. My grandma sent me an article that was just 30 sexy pictures of Hasan Piker, so you're doing good with the centrist Debras? Hell yeah, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. If you go on CBS, though, you'll pick up the GILF demographic. I know. And honestly, the wine moms are the revolutionary vanguard of America. Like, I don't, like, make no mistake. I do believe that, which is why I think there is value in doing those sorts of articles. There's value in doing those sorts of articles. There's value in doing mainstream media press. But overall, if we're looking at like the real gatekeepers, like it is no longer the Bari Weiss of the world. It is no longer the fucking CBS News of the world. Okay. It's social media. And social media is such a vast space and so directly associated with these fundamental libertarian principles where all of these billionaires that want to change people's minds by controlling the algorithms still have a higher degree of priority on profit, that they will actually still let you say whatever the fuck you have to say, as long as you are generating revenue for them, as long as you have eyeball retention on those social media platforms. And it's too big of a behemoth to control, at least as it stands currently. Now with AI, that might change, right? If they start processing their own content, and if they just keep pumping their own content, they can actually change and people's consciousness, right? And they can actively make people feel some type of way. Not only is the idea that Dershowitz and Loesch represent normal people hilariously wrong, the idea that Hasan, Tucker, and Fuentes don't represent normal people is hilariously wrong. Those guys are popular because millions of Americans like them and like what they have to say. Hasan is not the same as the other two. 100% agree on ideology and substance, but my point is that they're all organically popular figures. I'll hate Fuentes and Tucker until the day I die, but I can't deny that a lot of people really like them. Yeah, it's true. As much as I wish that wasn't the case, a shit ton of people watch Tucker Carlson, even more people that watch Tucker Carlson than watch me, and a shit ton of people watch Nick Fuentes as well.
That are clearly, identifiably on the center left and on the center right in conversation with each other. And we've been doing so much of this at the Free Press. I was in, where was I? Chicago. Last week, I think, I've lost all track of time, where Dana Lash, former spokeswoman from the NRA, was debating Alan Dershowitz on guns. Now, these are people that have wildly different opinions on the Second Amendment, and yet showing that they can have good faith, very passionate, very charismatic disagreement and still like each other at the end of the day. We think it's important. And so it's for me.
I'm going to be honest with you, at least in the age of stupids, if you really want to tap into the collective consciousness and where they're at, you need to have like OnlyFans models going up against like misogyny podcasters, like misogyny merchants, you know? That's like, I think that has a shit ton more relevance in the minds of the average person, the 75% that we're talking about, than fucking Dana Loesch and Alan Dershowitz, or even someone like myself versus Ben Shapiro. Okay? That's it. Like that's where the average person is. I'm gonna be honest. The average person's mentality is like they want to see the whatever podcast guys get fucking destroyed by like a feminist commentary person. That's what they want to see. And on the other side, they want to see like some of the most insecure men screeching at a bunch of women. That's what they want to see. The average normie is not invested in a meaningful debate between two parties that are knowledgeable on the issue. I'm not even saying that Dana Loesch and Alan Dershowitz are knowledgeable on the issue of gun control or even remotely entertaining or interesting. I'm simply saying that even if you were to get like two figures that are knowledgeable and can be somewhat entertaining to debate an issue that they have, most people are not invested in that at all.